I wanted to try a new camera angle. It's not coming out as cute as I wanted it to, but I'm kind of pressed for time, so we're just gonna get going. So on my social media, like Instagram and stuff, and like Snapchat stories, I kind of go on rambles and rants. And so that is what inspires a lot of the things that I end up usually coming on here and expanding more on. So today I just want to talk about something a little bit fun. It's something that's a big part of my reality, but it's actually not something I think about very much. So that's why it's fun for me to like actually notice it and talk about it. And if you have this, then you probably don't think about it a lot too. What I want to talk about today is synesthesia. Let me there. Well, that's better. Okay. Synesthesia, it's kind of hard to define. I've heard it in the past as being defined as like a blending of the senses. You can smell things that you see, or you can feel things that you hear, stuff kind of like that. So I'm going to read a couple of definitions just to help give a better understanding than my own words. It's a condition in which one sense is simultaneously perceived as if by one or more additional senses. Other forms of synesthesia joins objects such as letters, shapes, numbers, or people's names with a sensory perception such as a smell, color, or flavor. So my main feature with my synesthesia is that I see colors when I hear music. Generally, I associate specific songs with their own color or colors. I should have done more research again before I made this video, but apparently there's lots of different types. But the type that I have it's all in my mind. It's not like something I physically see. It's just something that I see in my mind's eye. So yeah, when a song is playing, it typically has a color associated with it that's just kind of like being there in my head. Sometimes there's movement, it's just like moving around in my head. I didn't know that everyone else doesn't do this too. I didn't know that that wasn't normal. But it's something that I always just would say like, oh, this song is orange or whatever. So one night when I was in college, I went to go meet my friend. She was an art major, and I met her in like this art workshop space one night. It was just in the basement of this creepy old building. And I was like, I just figured something out. I was like, World Dane's voice has a color. And I was like, he's orange. And there was this boy that was down in there, another art major. And he like leaned out from around his easel and went, you have synesthesia. And I was like, what? Like, what is that? I don't know. And so I went back to my dorm and searched it on the internet and kind of learned a little bit about what synesthesia was, and didn't really know that it was like, I don't want to say not normal, but didn't know that everyone doesn't do that. So yeah, during that time I was starting to really try to grab the colors that were in my head when a song played, and I also started to sometimes associate certain voices and certain people and certain words with colors. So some other forms that synesthesia manifests itself for me is that all the letters of the alphabet, well, first of all the letters of the alphabet are like in a line, like kind of like how they would be on a classroom wall. They're just in a line, and they all have their own color. Numbers are stacked, and they each have a color. Years are also stacked, so are months. They all have their own color, and I can just see them in my head. I think that's it. And like I said, it's not projected. Like some people have much more severe forms or more tactile sensations, but I I think it's really cool. I like it, and it's fun reading about it and like reading what other people have. But it's kind of hard to explain because sometimes it's hard to actually grasp the color of a song. It's almost like an eye floater. Like you try to look at it and it goes away. So if I'm listening to a song and it's, doing its colorful thing in my head and I try to like look at it and think like, well, what color is this? Sometimes it'll slip away. Or sometimes it's a color that I can't find an exact match for or an exact description for. Or it's kind of like the moment you start to try to remember your dream, it escapes you. Sometimes it's kind of slippery, but other times the songs are like a very strongly a color. So this is why, like, if I am having a moment where the color occurs to me of a song, I'll just like say it out loud. Like, this is blue. And it helps kind of solidify that for me and recognize it and remember that that's what's happening with that song. It's kind of hard to explain. Oh yeah, and I remember one other way that this manifests in me is it's so hard to explain. Like, I also kind of see the shapes of a song, like, or the movement of a song, if that makes sense. Like, sometimes a song, especially voices, okay? I can kind of see the shape of some people's voices. Like, they might have a round voice or something like that. And a lot of times I'm seeing, like, a tunnel, and the shape within the walls of the tunnel is the shape of the person's voice. And sometimes I can kind of feel how it would feel to have their voice. It's hard to explain. There is structure and shape to a lot of these visions. I don't want to say visions, but a lot of the things that I'm seeing has to do with like structure and shape and movement and color, and it's not really something I can describe or draw. And sometimes I can't even name the color. So I guess that's pretty crappy synesthesia, isn't it? But I don't know. Yeah, some songs are very, very distinctly colored. And it kind of helps me differentiate between songs. I mean, you know how it is with metal. Sometimes it's hard to get to know a song. It takes a long time. And this synesthesia really helps make each song or album distinct. So let me just give you some examples. The number 2 is red. 3 is yellow. 4 is kind of a yellowish orange. And now some of these numbers and letters, it depends on the situation that they're in. Oh my gosh. I would love to hear from anyone else that has synesthesia or knows someone that has synesthesia, especially if you have like a weird, like, you can smell songs or something like that. I would love to hear about it. But yes, this is part of like how I perceive the world. And if I can ever think of more associations that I make that I just am not realizing that I'm doing it, I'll come back and update or something. Okay, and I'll leave you off with a song example. So I'm looking at Electric Wizard on the wall over here and thought about their song Dunwich. That is a very murky brown color. Okay, so that's it. Just wanted to chat about synesthesia for a minute. Share any stories or experiences that you have. I'd love to hear it. That's it for now. Bye.